Hello, Hopkins Pre-Health community. I am just a minute early, so I'm going to get started soon. Today with Pre-Prof Talks, we're actually doing Understanding Readiness. It's a quick one today. Gonna jump right in. Obviously, I have the comment area here going, and so if you have any questions, definitely toss them in the question or the comments as I kind of go through the Understanding Readiness in a very general way that hopefully is helpful. And so I know a lot of students, I see there's a couple that says it's still kind of reaching out. All right, we're 4 o'clock on the dot. We're just going to do it. So again, I'm Ms. Zoriel Bott. I'm one of the pre-professional advisors here in Pre-Prof. And so today it is just me. We heard a lot of good feedback about the alumni session the last time. So hopefully we can keep bringing more of those opportunities for you all to check in. And so today we are talking about understanding readiness. And so the topic is really, I would say, a lot of it is self-reflective practices. It's talking with an advisor, using us as a sounding board, helping you plan through some different ideas. But I'm actually going to use a tool that we offer you through Pre-Prof, and it's the Are You Ready to Apply to Medical School self-rating system. And it is not scientific. We have not ran it through a data analysis, but what we have found anecdotally and through some of our correlative data with GPA and success in the application cycle are certain key areas that is really important to pay attention to and ask yourself on a Likert scale of this 1 to 4, 1 being strongly disagree to 4 being strongly agree, to determine whether these particular areas are areas that you need to work on and grow in and enhance and bolster, or if they are areas that you have continued to show great evidence for and continue to do so. So I'm just going to kind of go through them really quickly in the time that we have and kind of just hit on some points of why we've seen this being an important aspect in your readiness profile, right? So the first question says, I have demonstrated a commitment to community service and the betterment of my community. And so my community is not defined only to location, but it could be through identity. It could be through experience. But here, obviously, proximity comes to mind as being a very primary aspect of community, right? It could be religious circles. And so the idea becomes is like, in what ways have you dedicated time, energy, resources, talents to spaces where there is a need, and the whole result of it results in the empowerment, the enhancement of that group of people, those individuals, or that community at large. And so it can be something very direct, like being service-oriented in hands-on work within a clinic in the local areas, serving the underserved or marginalized communities, or it could be you in participation in your religious organization as a ministry leader and or giver of time in supporting youth events or clinics within the religious circle. So it really doesn't matter I should say it matters to you more about what you're defining as community and how you've engaged with it. I have demonstrated an interest in continued educational growth. And so that continued educational growth is, yes, the classroom aspect, but it's also how else are you expanding your curiosities through research, through special projects, being part of, like, I know a lot of students do the design team. Educational growth is beyond just the classroom, though a big component of that is that. I've engaged in research, utilizing critical thinking skills, quantitative reasoning, and scientific inquiry. This one really just highlights the different gain skills that you get from participating in research, and that can be anywhere from very scientific bench research to clinical and translational. It really just depends upon, and it also doesn't need to be within the science spaces. It can be within the arts, the liberal arts. It's about exploratory exercising exploratory discovery through whatever discipline you have of interest. And then I should also say there is still the quantitative reasoning and the scientific inquiry that's implemented in there. And the problem-solving process is that, right? Another one is I have engaged with patients in clinical settings, right? This one feels like a no-brainer if you're thinking you want to go to medical school, or medical or pre-health or anywhere where you're servicing people directly. A clinical setting is going to need to be seen. Now, this is like a spectrum, though. You have passive experiences where you're shadowing, and things which are great, but this one talks about engaging with patients. And so when you're in clinics, when you're in clinical research, employment like CNA, EMT, or other types of certifications, you are engaging with the patient care. Doing things like hospice also is another way, supporting people through dialysis, being a phlebotomist. You can do this tons and tons of ways. So how have you done this, and to what capacity? And the next one, I have held leadership role and or position of responsibility in an organization or initiative that has meaning to me. And I think the key is to meaning to me, right? So when it comes to campus organizations, a lot of students gravitate towards groups that they share identities with or interests. And so that's amazing. But the question becomes is like, how have you ingrained yourself in that space or one of them, and have you taken on an aspect of leadership? That doesn't mean you need to be on an e-board. It can mean you lead a team or you lead an initiative within the context. But the question becomes, are you just more than just a member kind of thing? Another one is I have developed academic and professional relationships with professors, supervisors, and others who know me well and in a position to write a letter of recommendation on my behalf. We asked this one because there's no question that you need letters of rec, right? And we students know that coming out the gate. Coming in fresh year, they know that they're gonna need letters of rec. But when we talk about meaningful and productive relationships, we wanna have relationships with our faculty, our supervisors, our PIs, our mentors, our people that we shadow, physicians, other practitioners, that can also support the things we say about ourselves. If we say that we are have a curiosity and we love to think through challenging and complex problems, can someone else speak to that, right? Obviously, it can be very challenging, and we've talked about letters of rec before, to build relationships in certain settings, like some of those really large science classes. But you got to find a way to develop either the relationship in smaller settings, or become a TA, or work as a research assistant for some of these professors so that you can have this dual relationship. So it's really important that you work on your relationships in the different settings that you're working in so that you can get letters of recommendation so people can speak on your behalf. Another one is my transcript demonstrates my academic abilities and achievements in pre-medical courses. So honestly, if you follow our recommended school list, courses list, you will likely demonstrate the courses that are needed to show that. But then the next one is about diversifying your academic interests. So what else are you intellectually interested in? And so that's super important. So again, these are spectrum, and the expectation is not that you are strongly agree all the way across, but you also don't want to be strongly disagree, because that would say that readiness probably has a place for growth, right? So extreme growth, because we can always do better, right? So I am familiar with and can converse about some current issues in healthcare. A lot of times when you're participating in research, depending on the area of research, particularly if you're somewhere in clinical research, you're often in what is currently happening and currently trying to be discovered in those spaces. So that's there. I see a question, so I'm actually going to get to that in just one second. But the way that you can do this is read, watch documentaries, listen to podcasts, read the AAMC website. They're always highlighting what new things are being highlighted within healthcare and the issues that many people are putting their hand to, trying to find answers to. So the goal is to be at least aware of conversations that are happening, not just within your specific interest level, but also within healthcare. So I see a question here, and it says, Does Hopkins Pre-Health have any resources to help students find medical healthcare related jobs over the summer or school year? Yes. So on our website, and if you check your emails, I think a lot of y'all don't check your emails. We know you don't read them, but we actually put really great things in there. So Ms. Kayla Killam actually puts together a really robust newsletter that doesn't just highlight random things. They're really focused on communicating opportunities for students both during their time in undergrad and also gap year, bridge year opportunities. So if you go on the website, and if it's this, the website can kind of be sometimes tricky to find, but if you search inside of the pre-professional page within KSAS, you can actually type in bridge year, and there's a whole page that's dedicated and some resource links there. Also, you can go search your emails and type in newsletter, and I guarantee you that the newsletter was likely emailed to you, and you can go look at bridge year, gap year options, because we've plugged in a lot of things. The other thing is that if you're trying to look for gap year, bridge year options that are not local to the Maryland DMV area, use that as an example to go and look in your particular home state or other locations, because the things that Hopkins is hiring for or people are doing around here, like scribing, is likely something you can do, most definitely can do in another location. So just use it as an example to do some job searching. If you need some support with that and need some guidance on where to kind of dig and do that, definitely make an advising session, and or also with the life designs. They're super great with things like that as well. So I don't see another question, so I'm just going to keep on going. Another area of readiness is I have shown resilience and adaptability when faced with challenges or obstacles. A lot of students resilience is one of those concepts that are hard to measure, but is definitely identifiable when we're able to see it more than we can necessarily measure it, right? But the great thing is that resilience and adaptability can be communicated by the student in their application by showing points in which they struggled and then how they overcame those challenges. It could be academic, it could be personal, it could be a combination of both. But the idea is that your medical schools are not expecting that you're absent of all challenges and that you just navigate everything with a breeze. The question becomes is how do you adapt, right? And so knowing that you have the coping skills and the strategies to be able to overcome challenges is a good sign that you will do that in the future. So that's why that's important. I can articulate examples of how I bring diversity to medical school, whether it be based on ethnicity, race, religion, sexuality, disability, thought, experience, etc. Right? So it's not just limited to ethnicity, race, and religion, sexuality, disability, which are usually some of the most prominent and people are most aware of it, but thought, experiences. When we talk about being a compelling applicant, it's not the unicorn syndrome. We're not looking for someone who doesn't look like anyone else. Like medical students, pre-med students look a lot alike in profile, right? You're doing kind of the same things. You're in clinical spaces and you're sharing experiences of volunteerism. But the idea is that as an individual, if you think of it more like a fingerprint, even though we all have fingerprints, we're all kind of unique. We have uniqueness to us because of the intersectionality of our identities, our experiences, our backgrounds, our thoughts. And so that makes you a compelling applicant, right? So think about how you have used your curiosities to navigate that, and then how that makes you flourish, or how that will play out into your future within medicine. Dentistry, nursing, these are all the things. So everything applies to, I know I keep defaulting to pre-med, but because that's the majority of our students here, but obviously these things still matter to other institutions and other professional tracks. So in the last few minutes, let's go through the rest. We have about 4 more. I can articulate examples of how I demonstrate leadership in my experiences. So leadership again comes up. Leadership again does not need to be in a defined role. It's more of an action and how you demonstrate how you work with others on teams, in spaces. When you take on an initiative or you decide to take initiative, I should say, to make a change, to bring innovation into a space, to fix things, to just not leave something the way you found it kind of approach, right? And so the idea is demonstrating that not just in your academic spaces, but in your clubs, in your social spaces. I know a lot of people are part of fraternities and sororities. You can have elements of leadership in that way. All of those things are valuable. I can articulate examples of how I've demonstrated teamwork in my experiences. I think this is kind of self-explanatory. You don't have to just be in team-based settings like sports and clubs, but you can also do this in some of your extracurriculars and volunteer spaces when you're working with others on a particular project, even in your research, right? When you're working with teams. I have established a plan for the MCAT and that follow 3 to 6 months of preparation and will not negatively impact my academics, pre-med activities, or extracurricular activities, right? So the MCAT is, for a lot of people, the thing they wish they could avoid about this process, right? And so the idea is that you want to allow yourself enough time to give full attention to it in a way that hopefully you don't have to revisit it, right? And so the idea is that you have to bring balance in the semester or the space or the summer that you choose to do your MCAT. And so how well did you navigate that, or are you planning for that? That will determine readiness. If you do not have what we suggest 3 to 6 months, if you do not see that space during the semester and you're in your senior year, guess what? One bridge year, one gap year will not derail you from your plan of going to medicine. Take the time to do well. So if you're having challenges with those conversations, definitely come see us. And then lastly, I'm able to make time for self-care, sleep, exercise, nutrition, and a balanced life. This one is really key because we don't want to neglect personal self-care and also having a strong academic work-life balance and being able, because that's where burnout essentially sets in, right? And so medical schools want to know that you understand where your limits are. How do you refresh yourself? How do you stay sane? How do you balance or bring balance to your spaces? And so that's why they love hearing things about experiences where that are hobbies and other things that are outside of the classroom that might just bring you joy and or relief or help you relieve stress. And so those things are really important. So you should have a good balance of that. And if you don't, medical schools can potentially sense that, particularly if there were a lot of challenges that don't seem to be resolved. So this readiness survey, we do have it. If you have not had a chance to have access to it, please do reach out to us, Pre-Prof. We can just email it to you. If you've attended the Pre-Health 201 series this semester, we have like one more in April. We talk about this and how to navigate, how to do some of that stuff, add, enhance, bolster your readiness profile. And yeah, so that's like pretty much it. Talk to an advisor if you're having challenges and not sure if you are ready to apply. Also know that slow and steady does win the race. So don't rush because it's much easier to take the time to be a ready applicant than to be a re-applicant, because that brings its own nuanced challenges. So hopefully that was helpful. I know that was fast. It was supposed to be fast. And so that way this is more like a nugget that gives you a point of discussion with an advisor. Let me just make sure I don't have any other questions. Nope. So that's all for today. There'll be another Pre-Prof talks before the end of the semester. Until then, good luck with the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll chat one more time before the end of the semester, so I'll give you your good lucks and everything on finals. I'm gonna go out now. All right, bye.